What's up, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Real Talk. I am your host, Pastor K,
Brother Henry.
and we are here without a clue.
As usual.
Henry's bringing the whole place down, burning it to the ground. Um, but tonight, we're pretty excited about our third part of the series.
Yeah.
Third part of the series.
Well, we had the intro, then, so this is the third part.
Yeah, so that's how it kind of works. 1, 2, 3.
I went to public school.
Yeah, we can tell. But anyways, this is our third part of the series, and I'm pretty excited about what is going on, and our topic tonight is going to be on driving your finances. We struggle a lot with financial freedom in America, and well, you shouldn't say just in America, just everywhere in general. But being
Unless you're in Dubai.
Yeah,
They don't worry about that.
It's a lot nicer in Dubai. But it's something that a lot of people struggle with in their spiritual life, in their relationships, and I don't really want to dive too much into it because we have a special guest tonight. Our guest is a family man. He has kids. He's a husband. He's a council member at his church. He's a coach, a mentor, a minister to the youth, and all around just a great guy. But just like everybody else, he's got flaws. We're just not going to talk about those tonight. Or at least not all
of them. It's the next stream.
Not all of them. We'll talk about them later. And I would like to welcome you guys. Welcome Scott with us tonight. So, welcome, Scott.
How you guys doing? Thank you, Kyle. That was a great introduction. I just figured out who I'm going to have do my eulogy after hearing Kyle go off on.
Exactly.
Well, I said I was going to leave the bad parts for later, so that might be when I bring up the bad parts. You're not around. You won't be around to hear them.
Send me out, maestro.
Scott, you're going to talk about finances with us tonight. Before you dive in, there's something I came across, and I found it really interesting, is that the Bible actually mentions money and finances roughly it's more than 800 times throughout Scripture. And the one thing that the study that I was reading mentions is that nowhere in the Bible does it ever talk about debt being a good thing.
No.
Yeah.
You're not going to find that.
Or lack of finances to be a great thing. It never does mention that. So I just found that really interesting, and I felt that that was kind of the premise for what we were talking about tonight. Is it's important to take hold and actually drive your finances and not let your finances drive you.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
That's a good way to put it.
You'll wind up in a ditch real fast.
So let me pull up before I lose where I'm at here, and I will give you the screen.
Cool.
And that's not the screen. That's the screen. All right.
Thank you. Yeah, I just wanted to give you guys a brief rundown. I was really happy when Kyle and Henry asked me to come out and talk about finances. That's something that's been a passion of both mine and my wife's. I'm going to give you just a brief recap, but probably when we were in our late 30s, early 40s, we had a mountain of credit card debt. We were 2 or 3 house payments behind, and we just didn't see a way out. I was blessed in my life to have a really good friend who came over and helped us out, and he basically gave me the premise of what I'm going to share with everybody tonight. He helped us get completely out of debt, pay off all our credit cards, and help put our kids through college. And we would have never thought that was possible. Obviously, it was with God's help, but my friend Mark spearheaded a campaign that even he didn't really think would be successful. But with the two of us working together, and that's the most important thing I could say, if you're married, you guys have to be on the same page.
So it's important that you say that, because even with like me and my wife and our finances, there's times where we're not on the same page. Where I try to be generous, and sometimes I'm generous when I don't have the money.
Yeah.
And my wife, she doesn't like confrontation, so sometimes her lack of
Punch you in the mouth.
her lack of taking care of business, is detrimental, in the sense of it doesn't hold me accountable to our finances. And then the opposite happens.
Right.
Sometimes when she's being less frugal than what she should be, I'm like, well, you don't really spend money much at all, so go ahead. And then all of a sudden, next thing you know, credit card's maxed out.
Yep.
And it's like, okay.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up. Back in the olden days, there was a jubilee that occurred every 7 years, and it was brought on, it was God's will, and he wanted you to forgive people's debt. But unfortunately, Discover, American Express, and Visa don't have any jubilee. They're going to pretty much suck you dry. And so it's very important that, like Kyle was talking about, sometimes he leads things, sometimes Becca does, but it's very important for you guys to sit down and pray together and find who you want to lead your finances. It doesn't mean that person's in charge or that person's the boss. It just means that person might be cut out for doing finances better than the other person. Okay. Kyle and Henry were having a little technical difficulties back there, and I have the attention span of a squirrel sometimes, so I lost my train of thought, but we'll get back on it. Just pray and make sure that both people are on the same page. It's easy for me to tell Candy, my wife, what's not important because it's not important to me, but that's not the right way to go. We have to make joint decisions and see what's important to her and what's important to me, and usually we can come to a compromise. My buddy Mark was good enough to give me a list of do's and don'ts, and he has since passed on, but I saved that list because it's just my last reminder of him and how helpful he was. But the list of do's he gave are pretty simple. He said to pray. That goes without saying. I mean, if you're looking to change your life, the greatest thing you can do is pray.
Amen.
He also said to give. It's easy to say I don't have enough money to give, but I did have enough money to go to Hawaii.
Yeah.
Or I did have enough money to take a family to the Bulls game. And I'm not saying you shouldn't do that. You definitely should. But let's start with what our priorities should be. And it says a lot of times in the Bible to give. And God will take care of you after that. You want to save. I was looking up some stats today and found out that roughly 70% of Americans do not feel like they're prepared for retirement. I think that's a low number.
Yeah.
I was looking at the average that people have saved, and with people living longer, I would guess it's closer to about 85% that are not going to be prepared for retirement.
Yeah,
I agree with
especially
that.
with inflation and everything else that's going on that a lot of people don't take into effect when they're planning their retirement. I can survive off of $700,000-$800,000. Well, you could survive off of $700,000-$800,000 7-8 years ago.
Right.
Right.
Which that might not be the case.
No, that's true.
Yeah.
And your raises never keep up with inflation.
No.
I don't care what company you work for. They're 3 to 4%.
Yeah.
It just doesn't keep up.
Yeah.
And you can learn discipline, but it's really all on God. There's so many times, even when we were doing it and we were very disciplined, that we didn't have money, and somehow God would find a way.
Yeah.
And I'm very thankful for my friend showing us the way. I'm thankful for my wife buying into everything we wanted to do, but more than anything, I'm thankful for the miracles that God provided.
Yeah. That whole teamwork aspect seems to, it gives you a proper balance. You know?
Oh, yeah, we never used to talk about money. You know, it would just go along, and then there would be a blow up.
Yeah.
Because you'd run out.
Yeah.
You know, you didn't know it was coming. It's like, surprise, $35 fee from Chase. Woo, that's not good.
Thanks, Chase.
Thank you. Yeah,
You're amazing.
obviously we're poor, so thank you for taking that extra $35. We couldn't pay you before.
Yeah,
and now
yeah.
we're $35 shorter.
I always thought that. It's like the second you get at the bottom of the barrel, you just get kicked in the pants again.
Oh yeah, last year in the United States, there was almost $40 billion of overdraft fees paid out.
That was profound, statistic. I mean,
Yeah.
I would have never thought that it was that much money.
There's a lot of stuff you can do, though, to prevent it. You can work with your bank. You can talk to them. I would always have your checking account and your savings account at the same bank and have them tied together.
Yeah.
And I know it's not possible for everybody, but as much as you could, try to always have $1,000 in your savings account.
As
Just
a buffer, huh?
Yeah, just in case something comes up. And when we started off, we had about 7 cents in
Yeah.
our savings account, and I think that was from interest of nothing for a year.
It was a shekel.
It was a
They had a
lovely
denarius
nickel.
in there.
Yeah, with inflation now, it was about 3.5 cents. So we had
Yeah.
no buffer, but we've learned as we got older to figure it out, and we keep that amount of money in there in case the car breaks down.
Yeah.
You don't want to have to put basic needs on a credit card.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's something I think that we've done. I know I've done yesterday, today.
Okay.
I mean, to be completely honest, I mean, we talk about the show as being transparent and being real. This is about as real as it gets. Is financial instability is something that we all face. Most, or I shouldn't say all, but most face at least some point in their life, unless they came from a family that learned it early on and taught their kids early on.
Yep.
And I know even when me and Becca don't have it together, we still make sure, because we know the principles. Sometimes it's just harder, even though Henry
Wasn't me.
Henry's gonna go take care of an off-site phone, but the thing is just like working out. I've been in the military. I've been a boxer. I was in track and field. I know how to work out. I know how to lose weight. I know how to gain muscle. I know all of these principles, but unless you, and I know how to eat right.
Yeah.
But unless you do it,
Yeah. It's the application.
you're
right?
never going to have the result.
That's always it. And the thing is, I'm going to start it tomorrow. That's always the statement, and then tomorrow never comes. And then you wind up being just a little bit fatter, just a little bit slower, and all that stuff. But, I found you have to find a place to start. And this year, I said one of the things I wanted to do was I wanted to pay off one credit card.
That's a great goal, Henry.
And so I had to create a goal for myself that was attainable. Not just get out of debt completely, but a milestone, right? So I said I wanted to pay off one credit card. And I can't tell you that when I made that payment and it said zero balance, how good I felt.
Yeah.
It was just like something inside me was like, raring to go, because I had finally made one little notch in that, stepping stone, trying to get to where I know I need to be.
Yeah, you don't get into a mountain of credit card debt overnight. Like it's years, and then people say, "Oh, it's gonna take forever to pay it off." But being disciplined every day, I think it took us about 4.5 years to pay off everything.
Yeah.
And everybody tells me, "Oh, it's so stressful to have a budget. I don't want to argue." It's been the least stressful thing we ever did.
Really?
Having a budget. It took all the weight off our shoulders. We know what we have. I write down everything. I know my son makes fun of me. He says, "We have computers now." I'm like, "Yeah, I know. And sometimes your computers make mistakes."
Yeah.
I don't.
Yeah.
I have everything written down in a transaction register. You can get them from Chase Bank or wherever Becca works. Sorry, I didn't mean to mention Chase, Becca. I meant your bank, Wintrust. Yeah, I'm sure they have free stuff too. But if you go and get the transaction register and you write everything down, you will not have any idea where you're spending money unless you see it right in front of you in black and white.
And it's so easy to overlook what you spend because $10 here,
right?
$5 here, $30 here.
Yep.
I know I went to Walmart last night and it was $56, and I'm like, okay, and didn't think anything of it. And then all of a sudden I looked at our account this morning and I'm like, huh.
Yeah.
And then I went and got gas today, and that was $90.
Yeah.
And
Yep.
it just all of a sudden you're like, I just got paid.
And it's just rolling downhill faster
Like,
and faster.
I got paid Thursday.
Yeah, I know.
And I'm like, where's my check?
I know.
And so it's extremely easy to just overlook your spending.
Mm-hmm.
I was spending $150 a month on Jamba Juice.
Yeah. Yeah.
And Jamba Juice is good, but it's not $150 a month good.
Yeah.
How much do we spend on Dunkin'?
Yeah.
Or Starbucks or...
Yeah.
Yeah, no.
You can insert anything into that box, and
Right.
you realize, like, wow, this is pretty ugly.
No Starbucks, but yeah, I spend my share of money on Dunkin'.
Mm-hmm.
For sure.
Yeah.
But it just simplifies your life. That's what you want to do anymore. And you can blame whoever. You can say, well, inflation's 7%.
Well, it's all my wife's fault.
Yeah, my wife, my kids, my doctor.
Everybody.
Change the copay to $11 from $10. I can't make that. It's everybody else's fault. But if we honestly look in the mirror and take a good hard look, we're the problem.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think like they say in like AA classes, once you admitting that you're the problem or that you have a problem is like the first step to recovery. And the problem is most people, they don't want to do that because then the pain starts.
But, and I hate to associate finances with weight loss, but I feel like they're one and the same in a sense, is I can admit all day long I need to lose weight.
No, yeah.
It doesn't make it any easier to get to the gym.
No.
No. If you don't have a plan for working out or doing your finances or anything you want to be successful in, once you put a pen to paper, it changes everything.
It does.
Because it goes from here to here.
Now you have accountability to it, huh?
Yeah. You got accountability and you know what you're doing. You have a plan. Right now it's in your head. I already forgot what I was talking about before with the plan. That's already gone. I'm thinking of that lady's ringtone. That was the weirdest ringtone I've ever heard. I'm thinking of 100 different things. Let's just stick to the budget.
Yeah.
But when I write it down, I remember everything.
Yeah.
But so with people that you've helped, and I say this because again I'm going to associate it with something that I'm going through right now, is I track my meal plan.
That's great.
So I have an app where I go in and I enter in all, and it tells me how many calories I've ate and how many I have left for the day to like kind of stay on track. And today wasn't good.
Right.
and I sat there, and it would have been fine until Henry showed up. And he's like, oh, fried chicken. He didn't mention anything about the salads.
Oh, that's all on me now.
Well, of course, I got to blame somebody else other than me. But, I sat there and I started looking at my calorie bank account.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, if I don't enter in the calories from the chicken, it still shows that I have 900 left.
Right, yeah. You finagle it. Yeah, that's right.
as long as I don't acknowledge that I actually used it up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, to me, I still have 900 left.
Yeah. Now I trick myself.
So I
'cause
get
then
to
would
go have ice
cash.
cream after
Yeah.
we're done.
I trick myself like that with having cash in my wallet, right? Because I said, well, I didn't use my debit, I didn't use my credit card, so I'm good. But I used the $200 of cash that I had with it though too.
Yeah.
So it's like you can trick and fool yourself, and if you start there, if you start to acknowledge that you have to start tightening things up, and that if you don't actually do it, it won't get done, then you can start being honest with it. And I had to start being honest with myself.
Yeah.
And I was saying, you know what? No matter what envelope it comes out of, it's coming out of the whole pot, no matter what. So if I can trick myself with this little mind game of spending the cash and then the other day spending the card, but it all ends up in that I'm taking away from the resources that I could be saving, that I could be giving, that I could be using to get further out of debt. So at a point, you rob Peter to pay
Yeah.
Paul, and then you don't pay either.
Well, then you find out Peter and Paul are dead.
Pretty much.
But the biggest thing we did that we changed, instead of using our credit card, we used our debit card, so we could track everything.
Yeah.
It's right there in black and white. You could see everything. Besides me logging it in, we could see it on our Visa statement. And it breaks it down. And then if you do have to get a credit card, which, let's be honest, we're all going to have a credit card, get one that rewards you. Make
Yeah.
sure you stay on top of that. They'll send you messages to log in, activate your rewards for that particular quarter of the year. Like we're going into April. They can pay you back a lot of money. We're talking $500 or $600 a year.
Yeah, yeah. Me and Kyle talked about that. Something I wanted, I paid for with my rewards points.
Yes.
Because I pay all of my bills through that credit card that gives me a reward. So to me, that's free money. You know?
That's a great start. And when you're getting started, if you want to turn around and it's changing your mindset.
Yeah.
One of the things he talked about a lot of do's that we were talking about: giving, praying, and communicate. But then he had a couple things not to do, which I thought were just as important. And he said, don't bring up the past.
Wow.
Like whatever Kashonda did yesterday, Rebecca or Candy or us, that's gone.
Well, I didn't do anything wrong.
Yeah. You see a going statement here?
Yeah.
It wasn't me.
We see a pattern
Yeah.
developing, and you don't want to make a lot of impulse buys. We're human beings. We're all going to do stuff.
Wow. Why are you looking at me?
No, that hit both of us. Now you got to be honest. That's both of
that
us.
hit you. I don't make impulse buys.
It's always. He's like fully wet and he's thinking he's dry.
Yeah. Well, you think you need it. And my friend said,
Well, yeah, I did. I needed everything.
do you need it or did you want it?
I needed it.
He needed it. Yeah.
Had to have it.
That third haircut the week. Yeah, I
Right.
needed it.
And we're all guilty of that. Every single person. But if you really are serious about making a change, you'll find out you have a lot less needs in your life than you thought. Those
Yeah.
were really wants. Like
Yeah.
the stuff you need is food, gas, once in a while a new pair of shoes, but you don't need 40 new pairs of shoes.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
And we're all guilty of that. I talked to some people at work. One of the teachers I work with has 70 pairs of high tops.
Yeah.
Like, come on.
Yeah.
What are you, Michael Jordan?
Sounds like one of my sons.
Yeah. Put those away. But
Yeah.
we did have a presentation that Kyle was going to put up. My buddy helped me with this. I cannot stress enough what a great guy he was. And that was his passion to help people. And so when he passed, my wife and I decided that we would really like to help people.
Yeah. That's an amazing ministry to have because it's a selfless thing,
And people don't want to let you into their life, but we've been there, man. We lived it. We lived the chaos. We lived the misery. We had the fights, all the fights you guys have had. And it's so nice to fight about different stuff now.
Yeah, I know, right?
Taking the money away from it and fighting about different things.
Yeah. I think one of the biggest, most profound things you said is, at the end of the day, you can't hold their feet to the fire forever. You have to be able to forgive and to let go and let yesterday be yesterday, and you have to start anew.
Yeah, if you're serious about having a good relationship and you don't have forgiveness in your heart, when you come and you meet our Maker,
you can have a problem.
God bless you.
Yeah. That's absolutely true.
we all got to forgive and forget, and it's easier said than done, but we worked on that because we were blaming each other. Candy was in charge of our finances at the time, and I'm like, you did a terrible job. But it wasn't her, it was me spending money, and then she still wanted to give when we didn't have money to give, which was the right thing to do, but we just shouldn't have been doing some of the other stuff we were doing.
But it looks like it hurts the ledger, right?
Oh,
You know, it hurts.
it hurt
really,
the ledger, yeah. If outgoing is more than incoming,
Yeah,
you're in trouble.
Yeah.
And that's the point we were at, and we made a lot of money at that particular time. So,
And that's the worst is when you're actually doing well career wise, and you have nothing to show for it.
That's how I felt. I worked my butt off. I worked 6 days a week. I was making a lot of money at the time, and I had nothing to show for it.
Right.
Nothing except a lot of stress and headaches, few early gray hairs. Now you look at me now, and they're all gray, but it's not from finances. It's from different stuff. You never met my kids.
Yeah.
Sorry, Becca. Derek.
I was gonna say I love that you only said Becca at first, and then all of a sudden, oh, okay. And
Well, I did have a lot of dark hair when Derek was still a teenager.
Yeah.
So you did bring a slide.
Yep.
And I'm gonna throw this up there with you, and I'm gonna kind of let you just go over it with limited interruption.
Sounds good. Okay, we're starting off. We called it financial freedom, and I can't even stress to you enough how much it changes your life. It takes that, when you do that thing with your neck and it clicks around, or you feel your back's all tight, it takes a lot of that away from you. And stress is going to kill you. So it's nice to take away at least one of the stresses. And we were talking about giving control to God. We already talked about the almost $40 billion paid in overdraft fees, and that was almost 20% of Americans. So if it's not me, Kyle, Henry, or the lady with the ringtone, then there's somebody else in here that's getting dinged on overdraft fees. If you go to church of 50 people, 10 of them had overdraft fees last week. And that's really eye-opening to see. And that's money we don't have. You don't want to waste money. I don't even mind if you have what I would call a want, but you can afford it. I just don't want to see you waste your money. I don't want to see you give it to the bank. I don't want to see you pay more on your taxes. It's so important to get educated on what you can reduce, how you can reduce your taxes also as you get older, so that you're not giving more money to people who definitely don't know how to spend it. That's my political statement for the day. Shots fired. We were looking, only 33% of Americans use a budget. So that means 67% of you, or your boat's taking on water if it's not sinking. And I can tell you it changed our life. I can tell you we make less money than we've ever made, and we get by just fine now. And I would have never thought it was possible. When we were able to help the kids pay for college, man, I'm not going to lie. It's real talk. I was talking to Tom on the way over here. There were a lot of F-bombs dropped when we realized what seriously crappy shape we were in. A lot of blame and a lot of tears. But it all worked out.
Yeah.
I'm very thankful. Amen. Couples who argue about money are 30% more likely to get divorced. And if you knew us back then, we were basically pretty happy, but I thought that might be the end. It was just, I was blaming her. I was frustrated. Like I said, I worked hard. I had nothing to show for it. But when I really came to and started being honest with myself, I realized I was at least 50% of the problem, if not more. Could you do the next slide, Kyle?
Yeah. No.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There we go. Just one of the verses. Kyle was going to read a couple verses too later, but I wanted to give you a couple. Give, and it will be given to you, Luke 6:38. And now, one that I thought was really poignant. Prove me now in this, if I will not open for you the windows of heaven and pour out for you such blessings that there will not be room enough to receive it. Malachi 3:10. It doesn't say that God's going to give you enough to get by. He's going to bless you so much that you won't even, you're going to be, whoo, did a blessing just fly out the window? Preston, bring that blessing back in here. That's how much you're going to be blessed. But you have to have faith in God, and you have to be disciplined. You know, God is going to take you up there. God is going to pull you through it, but you got to want to do it. Can you hit the next one? First step is pray. Like we talked about earlier, I said you got to sit down with your spouse and decide who's better. One of you is better with money, I guarantee you, and that's fine. It could be the man, it could be the woman. The ironic thing is my buddy who taught us about finances, his wife handled the finances in their house, and she was amazing at doing it. You know, my wife works 3 jobs. She stays busy. She's teaching. She's doing yearbook. She's the first person you call if you need something, and she'll do it. But that was not her strong suit. So we prayed about it, and at first, like, why'd you buy cheese at Aldi? You know, I was bad. I was El Capitan, man. Like, anything she bought, I'm like, take that back. I had her take back something to Aldi one time for $1.50. Probably spent $4 in gas taking it back. Now, that wasn't smart. That's not how you want to run it. You want to be together. We were a team. She knew what we needed better than I did. But we decided that I would handle it, and it just worked out. You know, she's been very faithful too, and now that she makes a lot more money than I do, it's a little different, you know, to tell her what we can and can't spend, but she's very faithful. You know, we've built in that trust. She knows I'm not going to, that's the biggest thing I could say to you. You got to trust each other. You know, if you tell Becca something or Becca tells you something that you need and you see it in their eyes, like, I need a new remote control car. No, you don't. Or I need my 15th pair of high heels. No, you don't, Becca. But you know the person well enough. This is your person that God gave you. You know them well enough to know when they need something. And that's the biggest thing you can do, is build up that trust. The other thing that gets kind of lost in the shuffle when you're struggling is be thankful. I mean, we live in America. And I know that doesn't mean what it used to some people, but we're not walking 4 miles with a big thing on our head of water, carrying it back to the family, taking 3 hours in between, no clean drinking water, living in squalor, living outside. Like, as far as I know, we're all living in homes. We all have indoor plumbing. We're very rich and blessed to be living here. And I know it's not perfect. I'm very, very aware of that. But just being born in the United States was like winning the lottery. And I'm thankful I was born here. I wasn't for a long time thankful for the way my parents raised me, because they did not do a good job modeling it. But you can learn a lot of stuff from people's mistakes. Like, I saw what they went through, so why would I have done the same thing? But I did. And you learn a lot. And my mom I've seen as she has gotten older, is really good at saving money. And I should have looked to her. But they never sat down and made that prayer and put somebody in charge, because they had my dad in charge, and he was not good at it. So that I can't stress that enough. Pick your person, pray about it, and then let that person lead your finances. Can you flip to the next slide? That's good. It's always nice when I flip to my next index card and it's blank. But we're talking about giving up the blaming and forgive. It doesn't do any good to go back and blame someone or accuse them. You want to take inventory of your budget and what you spend, and you want to write down everything. Forgive yourself, too. That's one of the biggest things. I know as men leading our household, we take a lot of burden on. It doesn't seem like it. It seems like we're little boys and we're like, it's not my fault. But that's not really how we feel inside. We feel responsible. Like, you're the man. We were raised like that. You don't cry. You don't do. Of course, anybody who knows me from church knows that's not true. But you have to forgive yourself. You know, you're out there busting your butt. I was working hard. Tom and I have had this conversation. And one of the things I would like to tell people who are just starting off, if you're any of the company that you're working for has a 401k, anything like that where they match your money, pour into it. Max it. If they say we only match 2%, put in 5, because I guarantee you, you and Kashanda and you and Becca are not going to miss 3%. But that 3% in 30 years is going to be $200,000, just on the average $80,000 salary. And nobody thinks about that. You can do a lot with 200 grand. You can't do a lot with 3% of your monthly income. You know, but that was really, I can't thank my friend enough, but I can't thank my wife and God enough for just like trusting me. You know, it's not easy. I think that's the last slide. What? Oh, I already read that one. I don't know. Analyze our spending. That's what we were talking about, writing down everything, making sure that, you know, whatever it is, whatever bank you go to, you have your transaction register and you have every single thing logged in that month. You might not want to do it for the rest of your life. I'm sorry, Becca, I don't trust banks. You guys make mistakes. Not you. You're really good, but your friend down the hall, she's not good. And it might be $10, it might be $12, but sometimes that $10 or $12 mistake might cost you to go negative, especially when you're just starting off. You want to make sure that everything is completely accurate, and the best way to do that is get a calculator, take your transaction register, and I have little notations for a deposit, and I have mostly 95% of the stuff is going to be withdrawals, except for the 5 times a month we get paid. And I denote that with an asterisk and put on there what it is, and it's just so freeing to know exactly what you have all the time. Just makes life so much easier. But banks do make mistakes. We had a bank make a $20,000 mistake. And then I told them about it. It was in our favor. So I'm like, hey, let's go to Vegas. But, you know, trying to live a better life. Figured I better let them know. I let them know. And then they thought we were trying to pull one over on them. I'm like, you guys you're at fault here. You made the $20,000 mistake. I was nice enough to tell you about it. They corrected it. But people make mistakes. If it's your money, Kyle's a lot more careful with his money than Eileen down at Chase. Well, not yet, because Kyle's still a work in progress. Kyle and Henry are learning. They're young people. You know, young. I wish somebody would have poured into me when I was young like you guys. You know, well, he's still young.
You're what, 50?
No.
Yeah. I'm 42.
That's still young, though. 40 years. But I wish somebody would have told me at 32. We were about Henry's age when our friend came over and gave us all these pointers. I wish he had told us 10 years before.
You know what I find is that sometimes, like I think you alluded to it earlier, or Kyle did, knowing it isn't everything. Because there were some things that my mom, she modeled a behavior of saving. And I remember, like, she wanted this Queen Anne couch, $7,000, and she wasn't making no money. And I saw her methodically save. And then one day, the moving company came up, and these nice, you know, creamy beige white couches that I couldn't sit on came. And I'm like,
wait, you're
wow.
colorblind. How did you know what color it was?
You know money when you see it. Because, I mean, it was beautiful.
Yeah.
And then the love seat came. And then the coffee table came. And then the other little end table came. And then the other end table came. And I was just, she did model it in some ways.
Yeah.
Now, she never, and that was the one thing, kind of like what you said, too. She never really sat down and said, okay, Henry, this is how you do it. But she did kind of, I was able to glean on watching her do it. So some stuff I knew, but it was just too easy not to do it. Yeah. It was too easy to get paid and go blow it all on whatever it is. You know, like a little kid, you give them $5, and what do? They go to Dollar Tree or something and buy $5 of snacks.
Yeah.
That's what they do, and then they sit up all night and eat it all. That's just, I mean, that's human nature. We have to be taught to do differently. And if we're not taught to do differently by someone like Scott or myself or you, as we learn and then can implement it, it's a loss.
Well, and the other thing to it is learning's a two-way road.
Oh yeah.
So I've been learning programming, and I've been learning how to code and how to structure things, and I've watched hundreds of tutorial videos and how-tos and these master classes and everything. But I will say I had a flaw in the way I learned, and luckily I was able to recognize it, because learning is a passion of mine. I love to learn new things. But I found out that there's a passion in how I learn or there's not a passion, there's a flaw in how I learn things. Is I learn, but I lack the application.
Yeah.
And so, though I have all of this knowledge on how coding works, how a syntax is structured, and how to develop games, and how all these programs work together, and how things on networking, and how to hack somebody's browser, and all of these things. Though I know how to do it, a lot of it I've not done.
Yeah.
So if you were to put me behind a computer right now and say, build me an application, I would just stare at a blank screen and not have a clue of what to do, because I never applied it during the learning process.
Right.
And I think that that's important in this is, it's great to share this information, but if you don't start applying it through your learning process, you'll never apply it.
Yeah. And Candy just said something important in the chat. And what she said was basically, if neither of the partners is good at managing finances, seek out a free personal finance counselor. And I think I'm almost to that point where, even though I think I'm making some strides, I do want a second opinion on some things, because you know why? When you do that, when you put disinfectant on it, you open it up to the light, now it's kind of known and you can start to work on it. But I think as long as I kind of can keep it in my personal ledger, I think there's an inference for me to kind of just, say, okay, that's the little spot over there nobody worries about. So I can hide that on the side. But I think it would be more freeing if I just said, okay, well, you know what, Scott, I need help with this.
Yeah.
And then you become accountable to someone else, and you get to kind of learn and understand how to do things a little bit better. And then now you become free.
Yeah, I think people are embarrassed to let you into their life and see how things are. And I can tell you, no one is worse off than we were.
Yeah.
My friend saw it, and he goes, you guys are in trouble. And when we got done and we paid off everything, he's like, that was a miracle. And it was, but that was two people working together that had the same mindset.
Yeah. So that buy-in is really important.
Oh, it's so important. I think Candy's right about having an impartial third party come in. Like, you don't want to have your brother come over and say, Shauna's an idiot. No.
Yeah, I know, right? Yeah. Thanks,
or her sister comes over and says, what's Henry doing with all your money? You want to have somebody who you trust, but it sees that both of you are flawed.
Yeah.
And that it took two people to build up.
I think that's a profound thing in the fact that we have to realize that we're both part of the problem.
Yeah. Yeah. If you have one person in a relationship.
Not the problem.
Well, go again.
Yeah. If we have that.
I'm sorry, Becca.
No.
I'm starting to wonder if this marriage was arranged. Did Papa Spence pay 2 goats and a mule for Becca or what? Don't look at me like that. You know it's true.
No, Becca and Kyle both did very well, but you got to sit down and put pen to paper. If you're really serious about doing it, talking about it is not going to do anything.
Yeah.
Like, you have to sit down and put pen to paper. And if you keep track of all your stuff for a month, you'll know exactly what you spend. So then you put that in the outgoing column, and you also have what you make. If this column's more than that column, you're in trouble.
Yeah. Yeah.
But you can figure out where to cut. Then you say, okay, Discover even breaks it down for you. Discover says you spent $1,200 at the
Yeah.
grocery store.
Yep, that's true.
Okay, so maybe you figure out how to spend $1,000
Mm-hmm.
at the grocery store. And that doesn't sound like a lot, but over the course of time, 20 years, that's almost 50 grand. Just
Wow.
cutting out that $100 a month.
Wow, that's amazing.
And it doesn't seem like anything.
No.
Don't check my math on that.
Yeah. What you said on the 401k thing, I thought was really interesting too,
Oh,
because 3% of what you make,
that's nothing.
it's relative. It's really not that much, but if you track it over time, I mean, 3% year after year after year, it accumulates a decent sum of money.
Tom and I would have double. We were talking about this in our 401k from what we have of being, I was 29 years as a manager. He was 33.
Wow.
And we would have double what we have now.
Mm-hmm.
But nobody told us.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'm not going to tell you where I spent my money because that was a whole lifetime ago. But
Yeah, what was it? What was one of those steps? Don't bring up the past.
don't bring up the past. I've reminded Candy of that a few times.
But I appreciate everything that you talked about tonight.
Yeah.
Because a lot of it hit home. Again, it's easy to have the answers if you're not applying them.
Right. Yeah, I think both you guys have the answers, and I hope, if people are out there watching on Facebook and they have questions, don't be embarrassed to shoot us. I don't know what you do on Facebook. I don't have Facebook, but chat, DM, tweet me. I'm not sure, but you can ask questions on Facebook, I'm
That's
sure.
funny.
However you do that, please reach out to us because it is a passion of mine, and I would love to help anybody. I've helped complete strangers. People have DM'd me on. I know that's what you do on Twitter because I love Twitter, but that's what they do, and we've been able to help them. I've been able to help out some young kids. We've talked about investing and stuff.
Wow. That's amazing.
So what I'll make sure to do at the end of this video, I will make sure that I put Scott's Twitter handle.
Yeah, I would love to help you, especially so many college kids are like, oh, Uncle Joe's going to forgive my college. Nope, he's not. I'm sorry. I don't want to be the bearer of bad news. When he was running, I don't care who's running. If Santa Claus is running for president, he's not forgiving your student loan debt. There's too much money invested in it, and the companies that back these people for presidents are not going to let that happen.
Yeah.
So
You got to be realistic then, right?
Right. So while we have this impasse where you're not paying any interest and people are not paying their student loans, that makes me want to run from this side of the room to the other side of the room and ram my head into a brick wall. Because right now, everything that you're paying on your student loan goes to principal. I drilled this into my daughter's head, and she's eliminated $40,000 worth of debt because it's been all with no interest.
Oh, wow.
So instead of sitting there and just letting your account stay at 100 grand or whatever it is you owe, whatever ridiculous amount. Oh, I didn't even tell you guys that. When we had all this debt, we also had $100,000 in student loan from my wife getting her master's degree.
Yeah. Yeah.
And we paid that off too.
Wow.
It took us till we were 51. It's like Henry said, be methodical. You're not going to pay off your student loan in one fell swoop. Yes, I used that correctly. I was watching a comedian the other day, and he had a big fight with his wife about how you use one fell swoop because she didn't know how to use it, so nailed it. Okay. But no, it's been great being here. I'm glad you guys invited me, but if we could help one person, I know my wife and I would love to do that. So I hope Kyle shares all my information. And if you guys aren't comfortable reaching out on Facebook, hit me up on Twitter.
Yep. You can reach out on Twitter. You can also go to our website, onedigitalchurch.com, and it'll pop up our Facebook Messenger. You can message us directly, and we can send over your information to Scott to get a hold of you. Use this resource. I mean, everything that we talk about on here, we pray that you guys use and apply it in your lives. But finances is such an important topic, and it's funny that those words are coming out of my mouth, because again, I probably spend more than not probably. I should just stop.
Oh, he's gonna be honest. Okay.
I spend more than I should on the important things
Okay.
and the needs in life.
Yeah.
Because you do need
All the
French fries.
needs, all
Oh,
those,
yeah.
those that 4-piece chicken
That he blamed on me.
that you had to bring down here. Hey, you picked it up.
Okay.
The reason, I mean,
Just beans.
it's this topic hit home.
Good.
And it hit home way too hard. So you're not invited back.
I know. He's been the first guest walked out of the building by security, and we don't even have security yet.
Well, I'm gonna hire him today.
We gotta
'cause
hire
that's
security.
A need. It's a need.
I'm not gonna lie, I don't get invited back to a lot of places.
Yeah. But I thought it was really interesting too because it's always good, and we talked about this before the stream, that it's always good to hear from somebody that's gone through the ropes. So it's less, and see that the problem is there's too much judgmental, beaming at everybody else instead of just realizing that we're all flawed.
Yeah.
We all need help sometimes, and in all these areas
And
we need it.
let go of the pride.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
that's it.
And
right there.
and I say that talking to me because for instance, again, I'm in the Army. I have a CPA financial advisor that is willing to sit down, walk us through budgeting, walk us through every aspect, investments, everything for free.
Take advantage of those
But-
resources. Come on,
but-
Kyle.
I know, yeah.
The pride thing of, I see this guy all the time. He's gonna see our finances, see all the terrible things that we spent our money
Yeah.
on. That I spent $10 at XYZ Enterprise or whatever, and when I have to sit down and have that conversation of why did you spend this money here? Because I wanted to.
Yeah.
He's not going to sit down and break down your finances like
But
that.
no, and I know
But
that.
you feel that way,
But you
though.
feel that way. You feel that once my bank statement hits that table and he looks at it and he says,
No, you can
He
see
just-
his brain swelling.
he
and his
just
Yeah.
doesn't have words because why would you spend money on that? And I understand that it's a mental thing. It's a mind game, and so I say all that to say this is you're not alone. You're in, I would say, good company, but not great company.
No.
But let go of the pride, and because
Pride's the biggest problem.
that's going to be my. I say New Year's resolution because I can start the year off whenever I want.
Yeah.
But that's going to be like my New Year's resolution is February resolution,
February, oh jeez.
mid-February, Valentine's Day resolution.
Come to the party late.
This is not a resolution. This is a lifestyle change.
Yeah.
And I know Kyle's just joking around, but we don't want to be the New York Jets, man. Everybody,
He had to pick on me.
Or the Bears.
He had to pick
You don't
on
want to
me.
be the Chicago Bears. Why not be the Patriots
Or
of
the
your own
Packers.
finances?
I know, yeah.
We're not even going to mention that other team in green
I know, yeah. You don't want to.
that won the same amount of playoff games as the Bears this year.
Yeah.
0.
Wow.
I love it.
Let's
I
go back
love
to the
it.
finances.
We'll get back to the
I love
finances, but Kyle and I and Henry are joking around, but
Yeah.
I see their faces when I'm looking at them, and I know that was my face 20 years ago when my friend was over there, and he wore glasses, and he took his glasses off, and he was sweating really bad looking at our stuff. I'm like, this isn't good.
Oh, that's not good.
I'm like, this is not good. I've never seen his face quite that red, and he's like, I don't know what you guys are going to do. He goes, I'll give you a plan, but
Yeah, it's gonna be rough. And see, I think part of the getting to get better is realizing, like, okay, you know what? This ain't gonna be pretty.
no.
It's gonna be rough. And if you can give yourself that mindset, the day after day may not be as bad. Because if you think it's gonna be just easy, it's gonna be cake, you're fooling yourself.
No, it's tough, but it was the best thing other than committing my life to Christ, which I still will always thank Heather Dowling for being 4 years old and asking me if I wanted to go up and get saved on Easter Sunday and me telling her to shut up. But it did at least light the fire in my heart to know that I needed to make some changes. So thank you, Heather.
Oh man, that's funny.
Well, Scott, thank you once again for
Sure.
coming on.
Thanks for
and
having me.
We are definitely going to have you back. Probably, yeah, we'll probably make a series out of just financial freedom and make maybe a 3 or 4 week
It
ordeal.
has to be done.
Yeah, I'd love to come
'Cause
back.
I feel it's important, and I feel it's more important than what a lot of people like to put on, especially in a Christian church setting. A lot of people shy away from talking about finances, especially in church, because being you don't want to be the always having the handout or always talking about people's finances and everything like that. But I think it's not talked about enough.
No, Jesus was
Yeah.
poor.
Yeah, and I think other thing is too is
I
we
didn't ask
gotta.
what you think.
Shut up. But I think you too. You have to celebrate the wins. When you get those
Absolutely.
small victories, you got to celebrate them so that you can have some kind of
Yeah.
some juices flowing.
Like
to
you
go to the
talked
next
about
step.
paying off that one credit card, you felt good about yourself.
Yeah, I did.
It's about the little wins, man. You're not going to hit a home run. Well,
you can, but it's
yeah, if you're the Jets, like 53-year absence from the Super Bowl, but we digress. We'll get back to finances, but I look forward to coming back and hopefully talking about investing. But young people, if you don't get anything else out of this, be responsible. And if you have a 401k, double down on it.
Yeah.
That's the biggest thing you could do for your financial future.
I'm gonna do that tonight.
Good.
That's gonna be step one.
That's awesome.
All right, guys. All right. Thank you guys so much for coming on. Normally we will have our little commercial and everything, but not tonight. We went a little bit longer than expected. So thank you guys for coming on. Thank you guys for loving on us, supporting us. And make sure you guys check out our website, onedigitalchurch.com. Send us your feedback, your love, your support, your prayer request. Again, request prayer. Drop down menu. You can enter in any prayer requests that you have. We would love to pray with you. We make sure to I make sure to go through those and pray on them weekly. So there's a prayer wall there. Go there, enter your prayer request, or just go there to pray for everybody else that has a request up on that wall. And as always, until next time.
That was good.
Yeah.